Hello, my name is HeliMix. I'm going to be working with Sokol on some how-to videos for repairing the Blade 400 by E-flite. I'm just going to be covering the mechanics of replacement, so if you need technical advice, you need to ask someone with a lot more experience and knowledge about helicopters such as Sokol or Finless at helifreak.com. HeliFreak, best internet source for RC helicopters. In this video we're going to be covering the feathering shaft replacement. You'll be hearing a beep in the background. That's my DX6i I'm using to time the videos for YouTube. You'll need a package of feathering shafts. The E-flite feathering shafts are delicate parts in the helicopter, and that is by design. If you have a blade strike, the soft feathering shaft bends, so you avoid transferring those forces and that energy to your main shaft, causing bigger problems. So you'll need one of these. They come in a 2-pack. It is a hollow steel tube threaded on both sides. Well, I say steel. Hollow metal tube threaded on both sides. Little trick I learned from LockMD. I'm not certain. He's a member at HeliFreak, and I'm not certain where he got it, but a fly bar rod is going to make this job very easy. This happens to be a bent one, believe it or not. Very, very slight bend, but I kept it. And just so happens to be it's the exact same thread as the feathering shaft bolt, so this is going to help us in this job tremendously. You're going to need your Allen wrench. There were 2 identical ones that came with your heli. You're going to need those. I'm going to use one, and then I've got some Allen wrenches that give you a long reach that I got at my local hobby shop. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. You're going to need some grease. I recommend a black moly grease because this will withstand high temps. That bearing creates temperature. It's not going to break down and disappear on you easily. You definitely do not want to use a real thin grease. You need something that's going to stick to your thrust bearings. And this is one some people do, some people don't. I do use thread lock, metal on metal. I use it. Metal on plastic, you don't need any sort of locking mechanism. You just need to make certain that that plastic is still holding your screw tight. But I'll show you a safe way to apply this without getting too much there. That's why a lot of folks, I think, do not use it. It's if you get it on, say, your thrust bearing, you could end up locking up that thrust bearing, causing problems, but we'll get into that. I use a little metal tin to keep up with my screws, and also this dental pick will be handy, some for pointing but also for handling some of these parts. We'll get everything cleared up here and start tearing it down. I've already taken off my main blades, so they're out of my way. What we have here is we have your 2 blade grips. Zoom in a little bit for you. You have your 2 blade grips, and the feathering shaft is running up through the main head block here. Attached 2 bolts on both ends. You've also got some spacers, some shims, some bearings in here. So you're going to start off, I start off, a few people do a few things differently here. They may take off these ball links, they may take out the screws such as I do, or they may leave everything together. But I pull these screws out. Just gives me a lot more flexibility once I'm dealing with the blade grips. And we'll pull out the other side here gently without bending the fly bar underneath us. Good thing my screwdrivers are magnetized. And I'm going to pull those arms off. These brass shims that are on the fly bar, or I mean on the blade grips, they won't go anywhere. These brass sleeves. You would insert your Allen wrench into the bolt head. I'm not going to tilt up to show it because once you look in there yourself, there's going to be no mistaking it. You put an Allen wrench at both ends and you turn. Now one of these bolts is going to stay screwed into the feathering shaft. One of them is going to start backing out, and in this case it's the bolt here. So I'm going to rotate just so I can get my long reach on it. I'm going to keep pressure with my finger on that Allen wrench and up against the head. Not a lot to bend anything, just enough to hold that bolt in there. And I'm going to screw this bolt out the rest of the way very gently. There's my bolt and a little brass washer with it. We're going to put that in our tin, and immediately, while still very gently holding everything, we're going to take our fly bar, insert it into the feathering shaft, and screw it in a few threads. And now we have a guide that is going to prevent us from losing any parts, from getting anything out of order. It's going to save a great deal of time on this repair. Actually, we're going to go ahead in a little bit more, because you're going to start seeing some parts come off. First thing, up here in the blade grip, which a lot of time they stay in place. Well, that one's going to stay in place so well, I think I'll leave it. Well, there it goes. What we have here is there is a thrust washer, and it's made up of 3 different washers. I'm going to have to move, I guess, to get into view. Their first washer, it's flat out here on the outside of the washer, and then it's cupped over on this side. That cup, if I can get it out of here, allows this brass washer that has ball bearings to ride up in here. Okay, spin it around 360 so I can show you the back side here. Here's our cupped side of this washer. Then here's our brass washer with all the bearings, and it's already nice and full of grease. Just separate them. On this side of the brass washer, it's basically flat. On this side of the brass washer, the way the brass is stamped, it's created little cups, and that's where I keep it full of grease. And hopefully you're going to be able to see that well enough on the video, if I can get it to where I can see maybe. That's where you want to apply the grease, because that cupped area will hold that grease in place. Then up here in our blade grip is another flat washer with the cup. Matches this one here on the outside, and I'm gonna, if it's staying in place, just leave it be. You don't need to pull it out. I'm trying to get it out because I have discovered in my Heli a washer I have not seen in any parts diagrams. I do not recall anybody even talking about it, but I can't seem to get it out of there. Let me try something here. Yep, alright. So, here is another washer, just like this one on the outside. If I can separate what's behind it real quick. Alright, get away from me. These 3 parts right here, they make up a thrust washer. Or that is the thrust washer, basically. Behind this last washer, I had this other washer, looks like a shim, but it's got a larger diameter hole here in the middle. Well, that was behind it. Then there was the full bearing that was in the one side of my blade grip. And then now I've got it caught. Then my blade grip, and in the back of the blade grip here is another bearing. If you can see it up in there. So again, this washer that was between that bearing and the thrust washer, I could not find it anywhere, but that's where it was, so that's where it's going. It may be that Horizon realized later it helped. Unfortunately, today's Saturday, so I can't call them up, but I will inquire, and if there's any change to the information I'm providing you, I'll make an update. If there's no update, then what I told you was correct. So now up on the head, I've got to turn my little camera, there we go. Up here on the head, the next item we have is a step washer. If I can get it off here. Now, step washer, because, we'll zoom in real close, and we'll pause for YouTube break, and we'll be right back with you.